My name is Betsy and I live in Woodstock, Georgia. I've been a trainer now for about 11 years. I've been specializing mostly in colt starting, and I've got a colt here that I'm going to show you my starting methods with. I'll tell you a little bit about her. She's a Cremello mare, as you can see. She's a gaited mare. She just happened to be the next colt start that was on my training roster when I got back from Fort Worth, Texas this last weekend competing in the Mustang Magic. I actually ended up doing very well at that competition this last weekend, and I ended up winning the title this year. So I'm very excited about that. I've been to the Magic 4 times in the past, and I've qualified obviously 4 times, doing regular makeovers and placing well with those. So that's on my bio sheet that you guys will be receiving as well. So what I do know about Pudding, her name's Pudding. It is a mare. She's coming 3 this spring. She was born and raised here in Georgia, and today this has been her first trip off of her home property where she was birthed. So what I can tell from this mare initially is she's actually pretty keyed up. You can tell that she's been sweating. We are in the middle of January, late January, and I think the high today is going to be in the low 70s. She's got a full winter coat, and her getting out here and moving around and being concerned about her new surroundings, she broke into a little bit of a sweat, but she seems to have settled down a little bit now, and we're going to get started. She's had handling since she was hand raised. She's not really had any training. My first inclination is that she is a horse that likes to move her feet when she gets worried, but she is friendly, as you see. She's calm, but I can also tell that she's pushy, so I'm going to have to kind of balance that out. I want a horse that'll go away from me as easily as come to me, so I don't want to kill the draw, but I also don't need her disrespecting my personal space. So that's probably where we're going to start with groundwork and just establish some communication and some boundaries with her and see where we can go from there. So I will talk as I go on through this process. I don't have a mic, unfortunately, so I'll try to talk about what I'm doing when I'm closer to the camera so that it can be picked up. My preferred tool is a rope halter with a lead rope that's 12 to 13, 14 foot, good length, not quite as long as a lunge rope, but not nearly as short as a traditional lead rope. So I'm going to come over here, and I'm actually going to test the waters and just push on her a little bit and just see what we do. She obviously doesn't think anything about turning her rump to me, so I'm going to actually put a little pressure on that and just see what happens. And right here I'm just going to try to establish the 2 eyes good by moving away when she does that and putting pressure on when she doesn't give me 2 eyes. So that was good. Again, she doesn't quite know where boundaries are. A little pushy. So I'm going to play it again until she decides that I'm going to be the one calling the shots today. What I can tell from this little mare, she's definitely been the one calling the shots in her life up until this point. me mentally where they're at. She came in, she figured it out, she figured that, hey, all right, I can play your game, I get it, you want me to have two eyes on you, well this is what I do when I focus on a human. My first thought is I'm going to push you. So I got the halter on, since we didn't decide to run off, and now I'm going to play with changing, there you go, changing that little thought pattern. And start to establish myself as the leader with her. Like that, it's been very obvious that she has definitely been the leader with her family that handled her. There we go. Always give, some warning pressure. There you go. If I need to make contact, I will. Okay, backing. This invisible force field. If I move that force field into her, she knows to move out of it. Okay, so once I kind of establish, you're going to see that I go back and forth between driving a horse and gaining the horse's confidence. So now that she's, acting a lot more respectful, I'm going to start being a little sweeter, if you will. Let her know that, it's okay, she can relax, I can be the leader. She just left her mom for the first time today. She's been weaned, obviously, off her mom, but she and her mom are the only two horses on the property that she's with. So, I'm going to hopefully fill her mother's shoes. Touch her all over. Obviously, we have some, butt spaces. You can touch me anywhere but. Or I'll work on those. As I go through, I'm looking for, what's broke, what's not. Okay? Here I'm creating a wall. I want to yield that front end. Okay? Looking for that first step over. There we go. Moving on. Looking for backing. Take a step over. She can't get taller than me. There we go. Good. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and get a tool so I don't have to use the palm of my hand as much. Rather use an object. I'm sure you guys can tell this little mare here is used to calling the shots. Yeah, that's better. Now I've got a little bit more reach. Don't have to be in her personal space. We're going to go back to those hind legs. But we're going to work on a couple of things first. Sometimes if I see an issue or a red flag with a horse, like obviously she's got some hind leg issues that need working on, I try not to get direct line and say, okay, that's a problem, let's go fix it right now. I'm going to go ahead and establish a few other things that will be easier to establish and get a little bit more rapport going on with this mare. And then I'm going to go back, and it's kind of like letting the dirty pan that you cooked with soak a little bit. It'll be a lot easier to clean in a few more minutes. So, okay. All right, so I'm going to introduce a new tool. I'm going to go back to something she's already learned, which is to back up. This way I can actually get her to back even further out of my personal space. Okay? Like a propeller. Distance, buy me some safety. All right, can't do this for a living if every one I start I get hurt with. That little squeal, there we go, that was better. So I'm going to get off of that for a second. You know, that squeal tells me this is dominance, this is not fear. This is, hey, this is my body and you don't have a right to touch it. Well, my farrier's got to get down on that horse at some point. So warning, make contact if she's not responding. Okay, now look at the other side. Well, at least she's balanced, right? Just as bad with one leg as she is with the other. Yeah. Well, she's like, well, that strategy has always worked with everybody else, but my little stick doesn't care how many times you kick it, Alright. It's about persisting long enough that whatever strategy they decided to use to get out of whatever you're asking them to do is no longer getting them their way. That's one of the more important keys to doing what I do for a living. Just know how to set things up so that you can work through it and passively persist. You know, I'm not getting aggressive with her. I'm just going to keep on doing that until that doesn't bother her anymore. All right. I'm going to go back to moving this front end around. I'm going to start here. A little visual pressure. And go back her up. She's already told me she's a kicker. Alright, so I'm going to be pretty firm with her if I see her walking off and putting me in the kick zone in the back. So again, my safety comes first. Can't do this for a living if I get hurt. Okay. And come over here. I might be over here, but my pressure's still over here. There, I'm looking for that shoulder to move out of that way. Looking for that forward crossover step. If they need to back away, I actually would prefer that she backs away, trying to figure out what I'm asking her to do, than walking off and again putting me in that kick zone, which we already know she'll kick. So, start coming quicker and quicker as she starts piecing it together. Every time a horse gives me the right answer, I'm going to release and let him process. She's a pretty fast processor. She goes to licking and chewing pretty quick, and that's a good thing. You know, if I had a stickier horse that, you know, I might give them a little more time. Might give them a little bit more time to process, but she thinks about something and within 30 seconds she's already thinking about other things about it. Don't know if you can hear that squealing every time. That tells me this is dominance, not fear. There we go. Okay, just looking for an improvement on the behavior. Not perfect behavior, but we didn't have a squeal that time and she didn't, you know, give you that quick kick out. Alright, gonna work this side for a second. And come on over here. move over. We're going to work it at a distance, kind of come at it from another angle, and then we'll go back to how I was originally doing it. Just going to do a little Chinese wild torture, let that string touch her. Up right away. She's trying to process and sort out what it is I'm asking her to do. But she can't come in and come over the top of me. So I am going to put the brakes on there if I feel like she's getting too much into my personal space. Again, taking another angle at an issue. Start to get her back off of nose pressure. This will help me in the saddle, getting her to understand nose pressure means to down transition. Okay. Again, asking her to back. I have to get more effective. On that hip. Now that we got forward circle, walk towards it, drive it, saddle squares up. Again, I'm not going to let her come in. She's a pushy horse. If I was working with a Mustang and building a relationship with a Mustang, this would be a whole different situation, and I'd be working a lot more on draw versus drive. This horse has a lot of draw. This horse needs to learn drive. Now I'm going to work this direction. This is the shoulder she didn't want to pick up. We're going to see if I can, again, come at it at a different angle, get her to understand it in this genre of what I'm asking her to do, and then I'll go back to asking her to do it without sending her on a circle.